Let's start with the question. Which disguise should I pick as spy? Unless I'm chasing engineer buildings or a specific player, I practically select the disguise at random to save time. Avoiding slower classes. Is it possible to make informed disguising decisions at all times? While disguises may not fool experienced players, they are mandatory to spoof engineers' turrets. So how can we solve this? There are two possible answers. Answer 1. All 9 disguises can have use depending on a large variety of situations and playstyles, but you should never assume that your disguise is going to keep you safe. In fact, you should always prepare for the worst happening, being spy checked, and have a plan B ready to go. Some of the basics for disguises can be answered with some simple questions. Does my disguise make sense for where I am on the map right now? Will I run into the person I am disguised as if I stick around here, take this path? Should my disguise fool the enemy this time? Do I keep the same disguise every time I go to a certain spot? After you get the feel for how the enemy plays and after playing spy yourself for a while, you can get pretty good with your disguises. A big part of disguising that a lot of newer spies tend to not know is the fact that you can disguise as teammates as well as enemies. This can be paired with the dead ringer to create more believable fake deaths, as if it looks like the enemy killed a soldier. They may not think that it was a dead ringer spy. Another possible use of teammate disguises can be used to lure enemies in for tricks tabs once you learn how to do them. All in all, disguises should be used carefully, as there is definitely more to it than just disguising as a certain class just because it feels right. The answer provided by Amitai does also include some nice facts about each disguise. I would recommend reading those as well. Answer 2. I disagree with some of the points made in the other answers, so I'm adding this one. When you haven't yet gotten into the enemy's turf, be disguised as either a teammate or an enemy spy so the enemy doesn't know your team has a spy. The former is good for dead ringer use and baiting enemies around corners and such, while the latter is more likely to be ignored by enemies at a glance. You should probably try not to be disguised as a teammate who's nearby if their cosmetics are too loud. Amongst the enemy, there are 3 groups of disguises: Common, Pyro, Demoman, Engineer, Sniper. These classes have reason to be wandering amongst their own team for long periods of time, making them an ideal choice of disguise. Of course, this can lead to players being aware of this, and being more likely to spy check them. Uncommon, Scout. Spy. The Scout disguise is very poor at fooling people who are paying attention. But those who take one glance at a distance could be fooled and therefore assume the Scout is real. There is no mechanical reason to doubt a spy disguise, just your behavior. But the randomly generated information displayed as to who your disguise is disguised as can give you away if it doesn't make sense. In addition, some players instinctively fire at all spies regardless of color. Combined, these 2 classes are rarer disguise choices mostly because of their downfalls. Situational, Soldier, Heavy, Medic. These disguises are the rarest to see and so the least likely to be suspected, but only because they are very weak in most other areas. Soldiers and heavies can easily fall in with the team and get a medic attached to them without needing to do much, especially if they end up disguised with low health, but they cannot chase targets and will have a hard time not blocking enemies. The medic disguise has 0 believability as he cannot heal at all times as expected and always shows 0% overcharge. But this itself can lead into baiting enemies for stabs or into your team. The most important thing about disguise choice is that you remain unpredictable. This is not the same thing as disguise randomly all the time. A smart team could realize the enemy spy never disguises as the same thing twice in a row. If you end up making the enemy think you only disguise as one thing, you can do something else and fool them for a while. Though of course this disadvantages you for a bit to start with. I hope these answers helped, and if they did, please drop a comment and subscribe.